Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another rider, another episode. Today we have the lovely Ben and, nice Ben and lovely Hannah. I don't want anyone to think it is in the wrong way. And they have very good hearts and they help with autistic children. So we'll be discussing that amongst Ben's talents for... I've forgotten, he just told me 2 minutes ago, but we will delve into there. So nice to have you here today, Ben and Hannah.
Nice to see you, man. Nice to be here.
So tell me, first of all, what kind of children were you when you were in school?
Ooh, I was a quiet, shy kid. I was very reserved. I sort of found myself in year 10 and 11. I did drama, which built my confidence up a bit.
What age is year 10?
So I was, what age will I be there? 14, 15?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ben?
I was pretty silly when I was at school. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was just I wasn't a bad kid. I just found it funny, just sort of being loud and being silly and all of that. And then a few teachers had a sort of what's called a token board with me. So they had this thing where it was like I'd have a smiley face if ever I was sensible and a sad face whenever I was being loud and silly and all that.
Can I ask, are you guys in your late 20s?
You're bang on with me.
Yeah, I'm so...
Okay, so I don't know anything about this smiley face thing. So I'm thinking there's a bit of an age gap, so I'm learning here as well. Smiley face, okay. That's interesting. Did it work?
I think so, yeah. I think so, in the long run. I mean, I was young when that was happening. I was probably about 10, 11 when they were doing that.
Okay. So back to Hannah. Hannah, what made you come out? You said you're a drama.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're quiet or a bit of an introvert, in drama then someone probably has to get you out.
My drama teacher was probably my biggest influence in helping myself build my confidence. He was very passionate about helping me as well.
Do you remember his name?
Mr. Lord, so Michael Lord, I think.
Ooh,
yeah.
That sounds very important.
Yeah, I know.
Did you go to a public school?
I went to a public school in Wimbledon.
Oh, okay, Mr. Lord in Wimbledon. That sounds appropriate. Okay, so you both work with autistic children.
Yeah.
What was the educational path you took to get to that? Like, what grades did you do?
So I did psychology at uni.
Mm-hmm.
We do a certain type of behavioural therapy with the kids at the school. It's called applied behavioural analysis. So in psychology you learn about that, and so that sort of led me on to where I'm working now. Introduced me to it.
So what was that experience like doing that degree?
That degree, it was good. I found it a good experience. I met a lot of friends. It was a great life experience. But
any great eye opener?
Do you know what? I don't know. I kind of felt lost at the end of my degree.
Really?
Yeah, with what I could be doing. And then I saw this advert that sort of was a module I did at uni, and I was like, okay, that seems appropriate. But yeah, I didn't really have a clue at the end of my degree what I wanted to do.
So based on your psychiatrist degree, you've utilised those skills. What was your first impression when you saw Ben?
Oh, fucking hell.
He
What are you doing, mate?
loud, and he was confident. I'd say he's full of confidence, and that kind of, I feel like I gravitate towards people that are confident because it kind of makes me feel like I feel comfortable. interacting with them. But yeah.
Okay, so you're a bit of a follower.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
But in following, you get comfort.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ben, you're a good leader then.
Guess so.
Yeah. So you get another smiley face. So what was your educational path?
So I completely fell into this job. So I was an actor to begin with.
Yep. Okay.
And I was doing day jobs, and I was mainly working in bars to begin with, and I had a good few years working in different bars around the place.
I could see you as an actor.
Yeah?
I could. I don't think you should have given up. You got good that you work with autistic children. You could probably play an angle to say, if there's a role that, you know, your experience, you bring that skill of how you work with autistic children.
Yeah, no, there is a market there, and I've been thinking about that, about, like, you know, doing some sort of theatre thing for kids with autism. I don't know, maybe.
Well, whether it's a movie or whatever, a bit like a Billy Elliot kind of thing or something, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe.
I'm not trying to separate you two. You know? Yeah.
I don't think she'd mind too much. No, so I was working in bars, and then someone said to me, like, I was fed up of working in bars because it's just, you know, you don't see any of your mates in it and all that stuff. So I was just like, oh, I want to do something else. And then another mate of mine who was an actor said, you know, you could get a day job being a teaching assistant. So I was a teaching assistant for a year, and I've always loved hanging out with kids and all that. So I was doing that as day agency, and then this fucking applied behavioural analysis school eventually get hold of me, and I go there and I got no idea what I'm doing, and eventually I get the hang of it, and I'm like, actually, you know what, this is alright, this. And by this point I'm kind of pretty fed up, because I was just getting like student films and adverts and stuff like that, and stuff I wasn't really like particularly motivated by.
You've got to build up though. You start at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But then you get to a point where it's just like, well, nothing's coming my way, and I've been doing this for ages, and then it's like, well, hang on, I have this job which is actually really inspiring me, and it's paying and all of that.
Inspiring, that's good.
And I had this audition where I oh god, mate, it was almost the perfect job. It was this do you know Nana Zahari Radcliffe? So it was this woman who Boris Johnson fucked over, basically, and she's now in prison in Saudi Arabia.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
So it was, she was there as a tourist. She was there seeing family, and when Boris Johnson was Foreign Secretary, he said,
Is this an Arab woman who was a princess or something to a king or something? So,
no, I don't think so, no.
Well, tell the story.
So she was there as like, she was there seeing family.
Where's she from?
She's from England, but she's like, she's like half Saudi, half.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so Boris Johnson, when he was Foreign Secretary, said, oh, this woman is here as a journalist, and she's talking about the government over there and stuff like that. And she then got put in prison, but that wasn't true. So he just made some shit up because he didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
And
does she have a Saudi passport?
I don't think so, no.
So that wouldn't. I don't understand. How would they hold her accountable if you're saying stuff against the Saudi? Oh, she was in Saudi at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
probably not the best thing.
Yeah, well,
it kind of changes the mood. Like Thailand and drugs, you know, it just doesn't work. Oil and water, some things you just don't do. You might as well be in Russia and say Putin's a prick. You're getting less of a response, you know. Just say repercussion. So yeah, go on. So finish your story.
So I had this job, and it was about something important, and it was touring Europe, and it was loads of money. I was producing the BBC and all of that stuff, and we were going to go to Edinburgh and all that. And I was like, this is the perfect job. But then at the end, I'd been working at schools at this point. I did the audition, and I was shit. I was really, really bad in it, and I just thought, well, do you know what that is? I don't actually care that much anymore about it. Do you know what I mean? Because now I'm working with these kids, and that's all I'm thinking about now.
Mm-hmm. So that's where your heart is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, the true success is doing something you love and getting paid for it. So if you love kids and you make a change, especially with autistic kids, because not many people on the planet have patience for that kind of industry, then you're successful.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So what have you two learnt from working with autistic kids that you wish you knew when you started?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
And how long have you been working with autistic kids?
I've been working there for 3 years now. What did I wish I knew before I started? I feel like autism itself isn't very well, what would be the
Understood?
word? Understood, yeah. Because it's a spectrum disorder, it's like lots of people kind of think of like someone like Sheldon Cooper from a show.
Alright, so let's take it slow because you're losing me.
So like...
What's a spectrum disorder?
Yeah, so it's a spectrum disorder. So you have people that are sort of high functioning autism where they have a lot of skills and understanding, and the kids we sort of work with don't, and some of them are like non-verbal, find it very hard to communicate.
Is autism like Down syndrome?
It's similar. It's a learning disability like that. It is.
Is it the Down syndrome when the children all look the same regardless of their race?
Yeah.
Okay, but autism, they don't have to look the same.
They don't look, no. Some of them, you might not even notice they have a disability until you interact with them.
Oh, so they could be perfect, normal. So when I was in uni, there was this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was really intelligent, and he could memorize stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Rain Man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Really good movie. He can memorize stuff. What's his name? I can't remember. His dad was a big time banker or something, investment banker or what have you.
Or the actor?
No, in real life, when I was at uni.
Right.
And the guy was but when the pressure started to get on, when you start to talk to him, you can see not all the light bulbs are on.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then, but one time the lecturer was trying to take the mickey out of him a bit when he was doing a presentation. And then he came back with, actually no, and he reeled off some facts and quotes from books and stuff that no one had ever read. The lecturer just read and shut off and sat in the corner, kind of thing. It's like, check out the big brains on Brad, kind of thing. He's really, I didn't know how he did it.
Yeah.
But then when the pressure of the exam got too much for him, and he used to do this rocking thing.
Yeah.
Or he'd do like some fidgeting, or he'd be there, and then he'd just kind of, like a crab, just walk really fast sideways and stop, and then really walk fast the other way, and he's just losing. And we're saying, can't remember his name, but he's getting worse. He said, what should we do? We didn't know what to do. So we got our own problems to deal with. Let's just try and get these grades. I don't know what happened to him at the end, but was that so? That was autism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing because there is a lot of, and I think partly because of Rain Man, there are sort of people think of autism and go, oh, that's someone who might not be socially able in some ways or whatever, but it's really, really ridiculously intelligent and can do all these amazing things. That's not always the case. Like, that is, there are some kids like that, but in the spectrum, there's some kids where it's more the case of that kind of rocking and stuff that you're talking about. That happens a lot more.
Okay.
And you know, the kind of kids we work with, it's more a case of just them being able to sit in a room with other people or whatever.
Or just tolerate noises around them. Like sometimes the environment around them can be so overwhelming that it causes that rocking and the sort of, it's like sensory seeking behaviour to calm themselves down. They use it as like a emotional regulation because they don't know how to sort of balance themselves out, if that makes sense.
You say sensory seeking behaviour. Can you be a bit more
So like the rocking is kind of their way of controlling
the pressure.
Their body, and because they can't control the environment around them, they control their senses in a way that calms them.
Like you rub your head if you've got a headache.
Yeah, very similar to that.
So I got a kid I work with now who bites his hand a lot. And a lot of that is if I tell him no to something that he wants to do, or tell him he's got to leave a place that he likes, he'll start biting his hand. And that's his kind of way of getting this
frustration
out. Because there's this kind of sensory input of the feeling of biting your hand.
And how do you deal with that? How do you manage him? That's self-harm, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I assume he's biting really badly. He's got blood or something damaging himself.
He's got marks on his hand that you can see.
So how do you deal with that then?
So with that we've started putting a chewy on his wrist, which is around the point where he bites. So with something like that, it's just more of a kind of occupational therapy thing rather than a behavioural thing.
But he won't take it off.
He tries to take it off, but then we give him more, like he gets used to it eventually. And then if he wears it for a long time, and I'll go, oh, great job wearing that for a long time. And then, eventually
make him feel good.
Yeah.
What would be, because the reason, I'll just say, the reason we do this podcast, at the start, it's just a funny story that happened to me. It's on episode 1, if you do want to listen. But the main thing is we call it sharing a gift. So sharing the gift is like you two have a gift. Your life experience is your gift. And your gift helps other people if you share it, if you come on the podcast and speak. Because people may be going through what you've gone through and realise they're not alone and they can get help. Or it's just comforting they're enlightening and they may be going down that road and they realise they can take a detour or do something, or how they can get through it. So in your case, you're experts at dealing with children who are autistic, and what would be your advice to parents who've just found out that their children have the same issues?
I think my number one advice would be don't limit them, because I see a lot of parents that get that diagnosis of autism and feel like their child won't achieve the goals they had in mind. And I don't always think that's the truth. Maybe it's a different goal to what you originally thought, but they will achieve things, and they're able enough to achieve what they want to achieve. And I really do believe autistic people have a right to everything else everyone else has. Like, I feel like they're undervalued within society. They have a special, unique gift within themselves. Like, the amount of love them kids give to everyone and are so positive no matter what they're facing. It really does kind of inspire me on a daily basis to do my job.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Before I worked at this school, I worked at a few SEN schools in London. And one thing I would... special educational needs.
Okay.
And, a lot of places, you'll find it's easy... people find it easy to kind of get negative about people with autism and go, oh, they know what they're doing, and oh, they know what's going on, and oh, they just need a, you just need to let them know from the beginning that you can't mess with them and all that. And I mean, it kind of ties into what Hannah says. Really, it's just wrong. It's just really what we all need is just fun. We all need to just kind of go to a place where we all feel better. And I feel like sometimes when people work with kids with autism, they can just get so negative and view the children negatively, and that's just so far from the case. We just need to analyse what it is and why they're doing it.
I used to work in commercial construction as a site manager, and one of the guys in the office, he had an autistic child. His wife had left him with the child because she said it was too much for her, and he was doing his best to help, but you could see he was really building up with stress and problems. And he said the child kept on hitting him really violently. I don't know if that's a common trend and things like that. and he used to just talk. Basically, it's kind of a bit of a cry for help. I was in my early 20s, so you're probably talking to the wrong person at that time. But what would be your advice to somebody who's going through that at that point, and how would you advise them to handle it?
So what was it again, sorry?
The child, let's say he's trying to change the child or do something with the child, and the child just gets violent and just wants to hit.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to manhandle the child or hit him. How would you, with your expertise, what would you say, what would you suggest, recommend?
That is an ABA question for Hannah Lambert, I think.
So
this is the real expert. I can give you an answer, but this will be a better answer from Hannah right now.
Within our line of work, we analyse why a child would be hitting like that, or why a child might aggress, because a lot of them have a lot of aggressive behaviour. That is a common trait in a lot of autistic children. And most of the time it's to do with functional communication. It's that they don't like something, or they don't want something happening, or they want it done a certain way and they can't express to you what they want, so they just hit. They go straight for the aggression instead of functionally saying what they want. So in our line of work, we kind of give them that communication. So if we can figure out why they're doing it, we can then intervene before they hit. We can say, oh, no, I don't want this, or just say no. And we give them that bit of communication that they're lacking. So I think a lot of it is just working with the child and working out how to make them feel most comfortable with what you're doing, whilst giving them sort of autonomy over what they want in their day, because no one wants to be dictated to. Even a neurotypical child doesn't want things and will say no to things, and it's just learning how to get that balance of them communicating without hitting, really.
Okay. Is there self-help? Is there helplines that they can call for parents in distress and those kind of things?
I think the best people to talk to would be their doctors. Their local doctors, I think, will refer them to certain places that can help with that. Also the local council, the local council funds our school with places for kids with autism. So it's always worth just having a Google and a search around for things within your area, because I think there are quite a few things, especially within London, that will help parents in that situation. And respite's always a good option for parents.
What's respite?
So respite is almost like a break for the child and the parents, so they go off and stay with a carer for, say, a weekend or a week, and it just gives that parent a bit of a lifeline in letting them do what they want to do for that week or that weekend, whilst the child's being cared for still.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And also as well, adventure playgrounds and after school clubs and breakfast clubs and all that. There's a lot of kind of
help to be had.
Outlets for them.
Okay, that's good. So Ben, I did ask that question about what have you learnt that you wish you knew when you started. I interrupted, so I will give you this opportunity to answer that question.
Right, okay.
Okay, bloody hell.
I thought I'd skid it out of it. Yeah, I think if I could put it as simply as, when you go into a room with other people in there, when you leave that room, do those people feel better than when you were in there before? See what I mean? That's how I look at my job. That's how I look at all of this. That's how I look at it all now. And I think you can look at what we do in this kind of grand kind of doing a good thing kind of way, but ultimately when you go into a room with those kids, when you leave there, do those kids feel better or not?
Do they want to see you?
Yeah,
exactly. And your work, I've worked in a lot of schools where it just gets so kind of cynical about the kids.
In what sense?
The kids know what they're doing. The kids, they need it clear from the very beginning that you can't mess with them. And then you get, when you have that kind of idea, you get into this culture where it's just like, you don't really smile to the kids, you don't give the kids eye contact, and it's a very dark place.
Yeah, the kids can read into that.
Yeah.
Like an animal.
Yeah.
Like a dog can read into...
Yeah. And then it becomes this thing of you versus the kids. Which, can never be healthy.
Is that because people have been in the industry too long? Like would you say there's a time span? Like you get a teacher who you just say you've been a teacher too long. You may know your stuff. When you were young, you were motivated.
Yeah.
But you hit your mid-30s or late 40s and you just thought...
You lose that motivation.
You're unhappy. The pay is no good. The hours are too long. And you're not really appreciated.
Yeah, and there's all this kind of shit you've got to do as well. There's all this pressure on you.
And then parents are maybe complaining about how you are with their child, even though they're not doing their part.
Yeah.
And do you get that as well?
I think like our place is quite kind of, we've got a kind of lot of layers to the positions in it.
Yeah.
I love the way Ben's just looking at Hannah.
Cause
here, and Hannah's just like, yeah, you're doing it.
No, I don't think we do. I think there are some pushy parents we work with, but I think the nice thing about our job is, we're not teachers, we're not TAs, so we have there's a lot more of a kind of structure.
Do they have teachers then?
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, there are some teachers, yeah.
I thought it'd be playtime all the time.
No. So they have 2 or 3 teachers that teach the national curriculum to them kids, and then each child has a one-to-one, and then between the parents and sort of the school, they come up with a plan, like an individualized plan for each kid. So it will detail like what level of care they need and what goals and aspirations sort of the parents and the school feel like the child can achieve. So that one-to-one will work intensely with that child to make sure they're achieving what they should be achieving. But I feel like it's a good system. Like, a lot of the kids are quite independent considering their diagnosis of autism. A lot of them can do a lot of functional skills, and I feel like we'll progress on to things that are good for them.
Couple more questions. What causes autism? Do you know?
It's not really clear, is it?
They don't know. Yeah, it's not clear what the actual cause is. They found like genetic factors. They found.
In what sense genetic? It's like if you sleep. So I know certain cultures sleep with their cousins, and my dad, he's a professor, and he was saying that causes a lot of autism case. So he was saying, because he's a professor in sociology, he's saying, should the government be looking after these children if the pet culture of the people, they just don't want to stop that culture, which is proven to have problems? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was interesting comment, because obviously we're trying to reduce the cost of the taxpayer, but then you don't want to, every child needs help.
Yeah.
But at the same time, parents need to be sensible.
Yeah.
In that
There's
thing.
a balance in it all.
Yeah. Have you ever known anybody to be kind of cured of a light autism? Is it something like that? Or
there's no cure for it per se, but you can definitely. There are definitely people who had autism and to the point where they couldn't talk and they couldn't, walk, wait for like more than 10 seconds without getting really upset, and then a lot of those people can they can go to university and you wouldn't even know they had autism. They still do, but there's not really you can't stop someone having it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you. My last question is, you've been great host, by the way, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
Ooh.
Don't throw a tough one in there. A real one.
I'd like a world where everyone feels inclusive within it. Because I feel like at the moment, society has pockets of people that are sort of left abandoned almost, I'd say. Like the homeless, the disabled, certain cultures, like they're left behind. And I'd like to set up my own sort of charity where I help people like that get more help to achieve what they want to achieve, really. That's my long-term ambition.
And Ben?
I mean, mine's way less profound than that. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, really, it's just, for me, like, I used to believe in, you know, trying to do good things and trying to be part of good institutions or whatever. Now I'm just like, you know, like I say, if I go into a room with people in there, when I leave that room, do those people feel better? And I try and look at everything that simply, really. And I hope when we get out of this, I hope when we get out of this Uber, you feel you got something out of this conversation that you didn't have before. And I hope that you wankers listening to this podcast, you know, got something out of this. So yeah, I mean that's it really. I think it's just
Okay, that's really good. Normally, I've asked you quite a lot of questions. Normally it's like 5 to 15 minutes long, but because this is a real subject, people have this in their family, it tears down families, parents walk away from their responsibilities. So I just wanted to make sure you had that opportunity to fully delve in, and I've been trying to think of every question that somebody in that position as a parent would need to ask. Last question, I know I did ask, I've been asking a few questions, but what does the future hold for you two? I'm not speaking as a couple, I'm speaking career-wise. Do you see yourself staying in this industry? Are you going to branch off into something else?
I mean, I think that I will be. I'm applying to be a teacher now. I'm trying to move out of London.
Okay.
And
you from London originally?
No, I'm from Norwich.
Okay. East
Anglia.
I only know that 'cause I took someone there the other day.
But you drove someone to East Anglia?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
I drive people to East Anglia, Cambridge, Brighton.
Jesus.
I thought this was a long Uber.
No. But mind you, sometimes it's quicker to drive. You told me we're driving to Brighton or Bristol. I'd much rather drive to there and sometimes drive across North London.
But you just sit on a motorway and
just slow, and sometimes you can get there and then you can get back in good time. You know, yeah, it's just one of those things. But it's change of scenery.
Yeah.
So, Hannah.
I haven't quite decided what my plan is. I'm thinking
She's gonna keep doing this.
I'm gonna stay within the setting I'm in for the next couple of years, and then sort of branch out and decide what I'm gonna do from there. But I'm quite happy where I am right now.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for that. It's much appreciated. Just in case anybody wants to employ you, do you want to shout out your Instagram handles, or are you okay as you are?
I don't have any social media stuff, so.
I have, but it's hard to say.
Hannah Lambert. She's got a poetry Instagram.
You've got poetry.
Yeah, I've got a poem.
Should I not have said that?
We want to hear about your poetry. Where does the love of poetry come into it?
The love of poetry comes from my drama. So a lot of my drama pieces, I did monologues and used lots of rhyming schemes and that sort of thing. And that sort of inspired me in poetry. So I gave up the drama when I went to uni and sort of focused on writing.
All right, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Past the night, we're going to call it a day on that. 1 second. We wish you well in your future endeavours. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.